Hello everybody, my name is Askaroff and I run the sewarlock.com site for antique and vintage sewing machines. I was born in the sewing trade and I've spent my whole life repairing and maintaining sewing machinery, from machines as big as rooms that cost tens of thousands down to beautiful little old antique sewing machines like this. And today what I thought I would talk about is tension adjustment. It can be so frustrating when you have a poor stitch, and quite often it's easily remedied. And I've written a little booklet about it you can buy on Amazon for a few quid, or today I can show you. Now, basically tension adjustment falls into categories. Now if we look in here, you can see the different tensions. This is off an old vibrating shuttle machine. This is off an industrial machine. This is off a numbered dial machine, a Singer 500. And so basically, if you look at, now let me find, this is perfect. If you look at this, it is just two plates and a spring. And as I adjust this spring to and fro and I squeeze and loosen it, that is what your main adjustment is going to be. Now obviously if you look here, this is a modern fully automatic computerized beautiful machine, but there is no tension adjustment. You can go into the panel and adjust it, but you can't adjust it manually. So we're not talking about computerized automatic adjustment. I thought I would do my two favorite machines. Singer Featherweight, which has a numbered dial 0 to 9, and a Bernina 600, and that just has a turny-whirny dial that you just dial in your perfect stitch. And I thought today I'd show you how to adjust your tension to get a perfect stitch. Before we start adjusting the tension, there's a very important thing I must mention, that all tensions, you can see this is an 1891 and this is an early Singer one with a press release, but you can see they'd already drilled the hole through, because on the later models there was a little pin that went through, you can just see it here, and that releases the tension. As I press it in, that releases the tension. And all sewing machines have an automatic tension release, except the very first ones. Now when I press that in, that releases the tension. Now that must work on your machine before we adjust the tension. This is an internal one, and again this little lever moves here, and on the front it opens up. And if you look at the little featherweight here, as I lift the foot in the back of the machine, you can clearly see that tension. And if that isn't working, that has to be fixed before we adjust the tension. Now that I've shown you how the tension dial works, and remember, it doesn't matter if your tension dial goes from 0 to 4 or 1 to 9, or if it has no numbers at all, I'm now going to show you how it is practical on a sewing machine. So here we've got our beautiful little featherweight, and the dial on the featherweight goes from 0 to 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what happens with the fabric when you have the tension wrong. So to begin with, let's turn the tension down to 2 light. Remember, we've opened the springs up. Now remember, this is where the tension must be inside. That's why it's so important we have the tension release. So now I'm going to run this and we're going to show you what the stitch does. Now it's probably going to be pretty bad, but now wait till I turn it over. And I'm going to turn it over, very loose stitch. Oh, look at that mess. Now I'm going to turn it right up to very, very tight. So we turn it up to the maximum, and now we're going to see it's either going to snap or it's going to pucker, but it's certainly not going to give us a very nice stitch at all. Oh, you can hear the straining on the machine. And here you can see a horrible stitch. It's gone right through to the top. The underneath is pulled up nicely, but here we can actually unpick that, so we could pull that whole thread out. And now we're going to turn it down to the middle of the dial, and we're going to examine that stitch. And we're just going to run that stitch off. Now all of a sudden it's laying flat in the fabric. and it's looking very nice. We turn it upside down, it looks beautiful. Look at that beautiful stitch there compared to the other stitches, and it's exactly the same on the top. And incidentally, if you run your thumb and finger over the thread, you can actually feel the stitch rather than see it, and you can feel if it's just a minute amount out. Now, I knew the perfect tension on this machine was going to be a number 5 because I've just serviced it, and I always service it and balance it on a number 5. And now we're going to show you the Bernina. This is my beautiful Bernina 600, the same sewing machine that my daughter has. And amazingly, my daughter's machine was owned by Doris Day. The only slight difference is it was the Doris Day who ran the Polegate post office, not the actress. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you once again, we're going to show you how to run a seam off with the tension too tight, and then I'm going to show you too loose, and then we're going to show you just right. Now this machine has got no numbers on the dial, so let's go. Let's see what we're going to do here. Just run this off. Let's just cut that, make it a bit shorter. And here we go. Now this is way too tight, so you can immediately see terrible puckering. Hang on, I'll bring it around in a sec so you can see. Yeah, you can see that's a terrible stitch, terrible puckering, and that stitch is a weak stitch because you can get the top thread when it's like that, and you can basically pull it straight out. So that has got no strength in it at all. Now what I'll do is I'll make it too loose, and of course I go into a lot more detail on my in my Sew-A-Lot site and on Amazon, where you have my tension books. So let's have a go. Now we're making it too loose, and of course you can just feel it. Run your finger underneath and just feel it, and you'll feel when you get it just right. And what I'm trying to say is, don't be scared of these dials. Don't be scared of the tension on your machine. Anyone can adjust it. Now let me just turn it round and have a look what that's like and see where we are. Yeah, look at that. Terrible stitch. You think you've done nice stitching on top and you think you're all right. You turn it upside down. Useless, so that would be in the bin. If we were at a Jaeger factory or something now, you'd have been screamed at by the production manager. Right, let's turn it back clockwise a little bit, and you're going for, oh yeah, we're nearly there. And when you get it nearly there, then you're just minor adjustment. Now look at the stitch now. So now I'm going to turn it over now, and you can see we're pretty much the same. There's no puckering, and we've got a very nice stitch top and bottom. Now it's coming through a little bit on the top, so we can just back that tension off a teeny weensy bit. And that's what it's all about. Play with the tension dial, get a perfect stitch, master your machine, become the master of the machine, and you will love your sewing all the more. Don't forget, I have over 30 books on Amazon on all subjects, and they make great presents. Bye for now.